Hello and welcome to the Gfinity Arena for round 3 of the V10 R League. Last week saw the battle of the F1 rivals clash, with Mercedes defending their position at the top of their group against Red Bull. The reigning champions BMW Sim Motorsport made their debut this season, but failed to make an impact against their opponent Suzuki Team Jacer. Will they come back stronger this week and get some points on the table? It's time to find out. This is the V10 R League. Thank you so much for joining us. And look at the talent on the desk this week. I'm joined by Nick Hamilton and Hayden Gullis. Nick Hamilton, it is your return. Happy to be back. We missed you.
Oh, I missed you too, Tom. I missed you too.
Because we didn't have the experience. You've been here since season 1. We missed you last week. And obviously, as we just saw some of that action, Liam Parnell, Jarno Opmeer, that was the car spinning all over the shop.
Wow, you look great when you did that, by the way.
Thank you very much. That was I've been practicing that. And of course, Hayden Gullis, next to you on your right-hand side, made his debut last week. Hayden, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Excited to be back for round 3?
Very much. I mean, last week we saw some strange happenings with, like you say, the car spinning up into the air. Will we see more of that today? I hope so.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be action-packed because there is a lot going on. But Nick, obviously with the teams, is it getting to crunch time yet, round 3, or should teams be easing off a little bit? Is the panic in?
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can ease off at all when it comes to the V10 R League. The way the format is set up, every race, every matchup is so key and vital, and just 1 point can make all the difference. So yeah, I think it's crunch time every round. So the team's got to make sure they fix up.
They've got to fix up, look sharp, and deliver. Well, it's interesting you mentioned the format. For those of you at home that might be new to our V10 format, it's a little bit unique, so we'll take you through it. We're going to be racing 2 circuits in our matchup today, with 2 formats of racing taking place. The first format of each track is the relay race, where drivers race one at a time, trying to complete 4 laps before the opposing team does. Drivers swap out of each lap and they pit, and there's the pit stop changeovers can be challenging, as we've seen in previous weeks. It's a technical race that requires a lot of team strategy, and one of the drivers has to do 2 laps, so look out for that. Then we move on to our second race format of each track, the team race. This is an all-out 3v3 straight race to the finish line, with teams scoring points on their finishing positions. And that is where we have seen most of the collisions, Hayden. I did say it in round 2. I was like, there's going to be another team race of collisions. And then they raced so cleanly.
They got scared. They didn't want to impress you in that show. But maybe they're going to come back today, especially the team on team. We've had a few of those last week as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, first matchup, Fordzilla versus Redline. Let's see if they can keep it clean.
Yeah, Fordzilla, last time they came out was against Mercedes, and that was a bit of an easy win. They lost 4-0 in the end, Nick. Emre Cihan doing the best of the bunch, and we're watching some of the action back here, but Mercedes were just so strong against them.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for, sorry, Team Fordzilla to pick
Are you getting
Mercedes.
Emotional about their result?
I am, I'm getting upset.
Don't get emotional too soon.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. But, you know, Mercedes looking super strong, aren't they? They've got so much talent and so much pace. But Fordzilla, if they, you know, really keep at it, you know, they could definitely steal a couple of points and at least get off the board.
Well, we keep saying about the teams, Hayden, that they need that sort of captain, the leader, and Emre Cihan will hopefully be able to do that for them today. And he has to get the results out of Sean Arnold and Per Peeve. So we're looking forward to that. But how crucial is a captain role for a team?
Definitely, because it allows the rest of the team to sort of get up to their level, and you need someone who's going to direct that charge. If everybody has opinions and ideas, then there just isn't that chemistry between the teams. They need someone to sort of direct the other two, and then for Fordzilla, they've lost the first round to Mercedes, a team that are tipped to be one of the best teams in this series, but they didn't take part last week. There's still every chance to get some points on the board and, really try and challenge to that trip to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, and we were just seeing some action right now. The likes of Jeffrey Reiveld doing enough for Team Redline, coming in for Michael Schmidl from round 1 and dominating. They got a 3-1 win against Red Bull and then a 3-0 win against Aston Martin. So this isn't going to be an easy sort of fixture for Team Fordzilla. And when you look at the other fixtures today, Nick, I mean, Fordzilla are really up against it.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I feel bad for them with the quality of teams they're up against straight away at the start of the season. But to be the best, you've got to race the best, and let's hope Fordzilla can have a good day.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You've got to race the best. Aston Martin, after this first matchup, will be taking on Red Bull, then Suzuki Team Jacer versus R8G Esports looking to get their first win, and Williams Esport versus BMW Sim Racing Team, your reigning champs. They didn't get off to a flyer last time out, but it's all still to play for. Let's have a look at the picks and bans. That's something that's very unique to the V10 R League. You get to choose where you want to race, and straight away, as I talk and see for the first time, as myself, Hayden and Nick do as well, we are heading to Spa and Silverstone. What stands out for you, Hayden, there?
Mugello's not picked again. What is it with people not liking Mugello? Poor Mugello there. Maybe one day we will have some racing there. But Spa, Silverstone seem like the highlight tracks to go to. We went to them quite a few times last week, so the teams really enjoy them. And because we've done them previously, they've got a little bit of, it's familiar to those teams because they've already raced there.
Yeah, it seems like there's a bit of the master plan for these teams, Nick, with the likes of choosing Spa again. Out of those two circuits, most looking forward to?
Spa, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Spa. What an amazing circuit. Got a bit of everything. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to have some good racing, especially down the back straight. Slipstream is what matters, and also we've got that push-to-pass system, haven't we?
Oh, yeah. And by the way, from last week, Hayden will bang on about going to Spa, so just stay tuned for that.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. We will have those races, Team Fordzilla versus Team Redline, after this short break. Hey, welcome back to the V10 R League. We are just moments away from travelling to Silverstone for our first race of round 3. But before that, we need to bring everybody up to speed. This is what's going to happen in the relay race. In the relay race, all 3 drivers in the team must complete 1 lap each, with drivers swapping out of the car during pit stops. 1 driver per team must complete an extra lap, known as the Joker lap. A Joker lap can be taken at any time during the relay race by any driver on the team. The team that completes all their laps first, including the Joker lap, is declared the winner of the relay race to take 1 point. Some might say that voice is incredible. Some might say, would you say, Nick?
Do you like the sound of your own voice, Tom?
No, actually, I really can't stand it. So I'm like, whoa. But that does explain, bring everybody up to speed with the relay.
You're like, what, sorry?
That's the noise. Guys, that's explaining what happens in the relays. We saw a lot of tactics being used and who was going to use that Joker lap last time out, Hayden. What did you take from last week's antics?
It seemed like your strongest driver would be the one to do that Joker lap, which makes sense because you want the guy who's going to be quickest. Now, don't get me wrong, we've got a lot of quick drivers, but there's usually some who are just slightly quicker than the others, so that seems to be the tactic.
Okay, and in Spa, which we'll be going to next, I should avoid, but let's talk about Silverstone first. Nick, Silverstone, what would be is there any particular tactics you would do differently to Spa in this one?
Not really. I mean, they're both quite long circuits, so that means every corner matters, just like any other circuit. But it's definitely trying to get your strongest and most consistent driver to do that Joker lap. But it really puts a lot of pressure on those guys that are doing the Joker laps, because obviously with the V10 R League, those Joker laps can be the difference between, you know, getting a point and not getting a point.
Okay, well, gentlemen, I feel like this is going to be an absolute beaut. Silverstone, one of your favourite tracks to commentate on?
Well, it's a great track to commentate on. I mean, we saw it last time out with the Hayden's guide, Hayden's hot lap around there. So
Knew he'd mention it again. Knew he'd mention it.
Crossed.
He's such a rock and roll star. He really is, this guy.
But yeah, fingers crossed we can have a fantastic race once again.
All right, well, best of luck to Team Fordzilla against Team Redline.
Here we go then. They are racing, and it is looking like Team Redline have got better out of the blocks as we head down in towards turn 1. Team Fordzilla on the back foot already, but you have a long rundown all the way down through Eau Rouge, back up the hill through Radion, and then onto the Kemmel Straight, where Chian will have the chance to overtake Enzo Benito and retake the lead of this relay race. He's going to be tucking right into the slipstream. Let's hope they don't come together like we saw last week between Jana Watme and Liam Parnell. They do not, but Chian is still behind, not able to take the benefit on the slipstream.
Yeah, it's only 2 tenths. Pretty good start from Enzo Benito. Got it pretty much done straight out of the blocks as we head into the right-hander goes downhill into the corner of No Name. I think they have got a name for this corner now.
We called it Jeff last week, I think.
Jeff,
yeah,
that's a great name. Great name for Jeff. Perfect. So into spawn for the first time, and Chian just falling back slightly, only 4 tenths, but he's right there with Enzo Benito.
He really is. Enzo Benito, though, doing a fantastic job. Just needs to hold position ahead of Chian. Try and build that gap if he can, but as long as he is ahead of them, then it's all going to be coming down to the pit stop stage. They're going through another long, flat-out section. Maybe this is where Chian will be using that push to pass to give him about 80 extra brake horsepower down the straight. But it still looks like Enzo Benito is driving away, so the car quicker in a straight line. That Team Redline car coming into the bus stop chicane now, tight on the inside. Is anyone taking the Joker lap? Yes, Chian will be doing the Joker lap. Remember, one driver has to do 2 laps. Around Spa, it's slightly longer than any of the other circuits in this series. Benito is going to be coming into the pits and handing over to his teammate. But Chian, do you reckon it's a good choice for the Joker lap?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real tough lap for him. It's going to be really important to make sure that he stays super consistent, no mistakes, and obviously because he's doing his Joker lap, he only has 25 seconds for both of the laps in terms of his push to pass. So when is he going to use it? Probably down this straight. So far, looking pretty good. Left and into the fast right-hander. Send it over the curb on the exit. And then into this downhill right-hander, the right front tyre. Always wants to lock as it's unloaded. Then into the corner in No Name. So far, so good for Shehan, but we'll see as Kevin Siggy jumps into the car for Redline, and then we'll see what his pace is like. But with Kevin Siggy, he's always pretty rapid.
He really is. The man with the moustache is into that Team Redline car, and he's going to be absolutely pushing it all the way around this Spa-Francorchamps track. Chian, though, still leading the way for the team. Siggy exiting the pit lane, now back out on the track. Obviously, the gap is looking massive, but the Team Fordzilla need to go into the pits for the rest, and of course, Team Redline do still have to take their Joker lap. So that is where they're going to be able to catch up the time and maybe be able to come out ahead of Team Fordzilla once again, like they were before this pit stop stage. Chian, though, going through the last corner now, darting into the pit lane, and this is where they're going to have to really nail it. 70 seconds is the time that you have to take through the pit lane. So the driver's going to come into his pit box, stop. The driver then has to leave the server, tell his teammate he's out, to then get his teammate into the car. And there's a lot of technical issues that can happen in this, with slow internet maybe getting into the server, stuff like that. And then they need to make sure they time it. If they go too early, they get a 3-second time penalty added on to the time that they went too early for.
Yes, so it could be, quite a bit. If they went half a second, maybe a second too early, that's a 4-second or 3.5-second difference. So, yeah, it all matters, these pit stop changes, and Kevin Siggy looking pretty strong. Now, I would see Kevin Siggy as the man to do the Joker lap for Team Redline. He's looking super composed, nice and relaxed as we head into the bus stop chicane for the first time of Kevin Siggy's run. Let's just see what happens as he slams on the anchors. No lockups there. Hits up the first apex and left. Yep, exactly. So Kevin Siggy with a bit of a squirm on exit with traction is starting his Joker lap, and now Arnold in the car for Fordzilla, and it looks like, wow, it looks like Kevin Siggy is actually in P2, so it's on Arnold to try and defend as we go into the Eau Rouge for the second time in this race. It's now lap 3. What are we going to do? And, massive accident. Absolute massive accident for Sean Arnold. What a shame there for Team Fordzilla.
It's happened again at the same part of the track that we saw Liam Parnell and Jarno Opmeer come together last week. And unfortunately, Team Fordzilla, whilst things were looking so good, Kevin Siggy did have the slipstream, had that opportunity to re-overtake that Fordzilla car down the Kemmel Straight. But unfortunately, whether it's contact or a mistake for Sean Arnold, Team Fordzilla are looking really off the pace. Now, what happens to a driver now? You're Kevin Siggy, you're leading by quite a way. Do you back off, or do you use this for practice going into the team race?
Well, I don't really know whether there must have been some sort of contact as we look at the replay right now. So this is Kevin Siggy definitely in the slipstream, touches Sean Arnold, and Sean Arnold had nothing else really to do other than go into the barrier, because obviously he lost control of the car. And when you're going that fast, no cat-like reflexes would help you. So there could be some, steward intervening after that incident there.
Yeah, definitely some penalties maybe coming Team Redline's way. Obviously, this is all going to be discussed in the stewards' room. There is stewards for the V10 League, so they're going to be discussing that. But it could have been maybe like a bit of lag that sometimes happens in these online races. But it just looked like Kevin Siggy didn't quite get the length of his car correct and just tagged the rear end of Sean Arnold. Now into the pit lane comes the two cars. Sean Arnold will be jumping out of the car and giving the car over to Peo Peeve, as Kevin Siggy will jump out as well and give it over to Jeffrey Reitveld. All three of those drivers did take part last week and managed to get the win over Aston Martin. So things are looking good so far for Team Redline in terms of the series, but there's been some little, knocks in the brickwork because, Fordzilla came out ahead of them.
Yes, and this could be another knock in the brickwork if the stewards do intervene and hand out a penalty for Team Redline. But they're going to have to really look at it carefully. Was there lag involved? Was it a driver error? Was it a mistake from Kevin Siggy? We'll wait and see. But Kevin Siggy is one of these people that if the opportunity is almost gifted to him, he's not going to back out at any point. He's going to continue and try and build that gap like he did. He actually gained another second as Jeffrey Reitveld is now in the hot seat for Team Redline, POP, has got it all to do for the final lap here for Team Fordzilla.
He does. 8 seconds currently the gap between the two drivers at the moment. So it's extended slightly during that pit stop phase. But it's all up to Team Fordzilla. They've got to try and close in that gap. And who knows, if a penalty comes their way and they can just about get into that penalty window, then that could make them get this point. Obviously, you know, taking the points is going to be very important because they are yet to score in the series. They did not take part last week, but they did take part in week 1, a 4-0 loss to Mercedes. So it'll be very important for Team Fordzilla to get some points onto the boards. We're on the final lap at the moment. Jeffrey Reitveld looking so calm and composed as he's going through the midsection of the track now, through the chicane, the left and the right and then the left, and then down in towards Stavolo. And then onto this long flat out section with these V10R cars. They are so powerful on the rear end. It's very easy to make a mistake and end up in the barrier. So this is not over yet, despite there being 8 seconds of a gap between the two cars. One mistake and it is all to play for. But Reitveld coming through the final corner now. POP could not catch up to the Team Redline car through the bus stop chicane. Team Redline are gonna take victory today. It was very close for Team Fordzilla. Controversy maybe. We'll have to decide that in the stewards room. But for now, Team Redline take the point.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was supersonic. That was a fantastic way to start round 3. Team Redline versus Team Fordzilla. That contact did so much damage to a team that was leading in Team Fordzilla. Sean Arnold must be very aggrieved about what's happened, as Hayden and Nick pointed out. Stewards will be looking over that. But so far, as it stands, Silverstone in the relay race, the point goes to Team Redline. They have been dominant, but as I'm sure you saw, there was a fight there from Team Fordzilla, and that is all we need to see is neutrals going in to our team race, which will be happening in Silverstone. We're watching some of the highlights now. Kevin Siggy having the Joker lap, and for Team Fordzilla, Emre Cihan had that, and that is that impact on the barrier for Sean Arnold, able to get going again. Look at that, nice and easy. Hayden mentioned about the 900 brake horsepower. Got to be careful with the V10 engine. That the rear end just can get away from you, can't it?
It really can. Don't think that was the cause of the issue between the crash of those two.
A little bit, maybe contact, as I say,
Yeah.
the stewards will look at that. But it was a great start. I mean, an 8-second win in the end for Team Redline. But I like the fact that Team Fordzilla, after their lap, their Joker lap, were in the lead. There was a chance there, Nick. We were all looking, going, come on, Arnold, you've got this. But you don't want to see in the rear-view mirror Kevin Siggy.
No, but you're racing him, so he's got no choice. But it just showed how good Emre Cihan's lap actually was, and how good he did for the team there to actually give them the lead. Obviously, it was going to be hard for Arnold to be able to defend because Siggy was so close to him for the slipstream. But yeah, what a shame that it ended like that for Team Fordzilla. We would have liked to have seen them get their elbows out and be a little bit stronger, you know, when it comes to defending their position.
Yeah, before we go to the break then, Hayden, fantastic start to the day, gentlemen, with the commentating, but have Team Fordzilla got a chance in this? Can we see them possibly getting some points on the board today?
Yeah. I think we possibly will have the chance. Obviously, the 4-0 loss, it's not a great way to start 2 weeks ago, but they've had a week off, refresh, come back, and it looks like they have come back quite strong because, like you say, it was very close between the two of them after Emre Cihan's lap. So great stuff for them, and you know they're going to take that going into the team race. Potentially with qualifying, we'll see how that lines up. There is a chance that they can get in there.
Oh, and if I haven't said already, loving the jacket. 2 massive pockets there, Hayden. Love your style. All right, we'll have a break right now. When we come back, we'll have Silverstone team race. Can't wait. Welcome back to the V10 R League with myself, Tom Deacon. I'm joined by Nick Hamilton and Hayden Gullis. My teammates today, apparently though, they've been telling me that I've been saying Silverstone when we were racing at Spa. So look, guys, I'm not going to look back in anger, but you should have let me know a lot sooner than this, because after the break, you were like, we're racing in Spa, not Silverstone.
Well, Nick wanted it to go for the rest of the show.
No,
so,
I'm not even going to hear it. I'm not even going to hear it. Let's have a confirmation of that relay race that we watched, raced around Spa, just to be very clear with that. I can't believe you didn't tell me. Team Redline were the winners. Bit of contact between Sean Arnold and Kevin Siggy, who was doing the Joker lap. But in the end, the point still goes to Team Redline. So we'll have the team race now in Spa-Francorchamps, and I'm excited about this one, gentlemen. But the team race, people will be saying, Tom, this is the first time I've tuned in for the V10 R League. What is the team race all about? Well, what I did a couple of weeks ago, I made this little video which will explain everything. Each team race involves all 3 drivers, in each team competing at the same time across 6 laps. Teams are awarded driver points based on the finishing positions of their drivers. The team with the highest combined driver points is the winner and picks up 1 match point. It comes down to qualifying. We see a lot with the team race. Nick, I'm going to come to you first. Can't believe you didn't tell me about that incident. You were going to let me keep saying it was Silverstone, weren't you?
Yeah, sorry, mate.
No, it's fine. I'm over it now.
It would have been funny if you just kept saying it for the rest of the show.
Every track today, regardless of wherever it is, if it's Mugello, I'm still going to call it Silverstone. That's all I've got in my mind. So in terms of qualifying, does that predetermine wherever they qualify, that's going to be it? Or is there still that chance for the overtakes and a team to get back into it if they don't qualify well?
Yeah, of course, qualifying is obviously where they're going to start on the grid. And it's very important because obviously the higher up you start on the grid, the better your chances are in the race. But if you are a team that hasn't really had the best of results, it doesn't mean that you can't work your way forward. Obviously, it looks like we've got a front row lockout from Redline, Siggy on pole, Benito P2 and Rydell P3. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that Team Fordzilla can't work their way up.
And that's what I wanted from you, Nick. I wanted to give people
long explanation.
Hope. No, I wanted you to give them hope because that's what they're going to have to do right now, Hayden, as they get into this. And when we say get their elbows out, we don't want a lot of contact, do we?
We don't want a lot of contact. But we're probably going to have a lot of contact, as that is what we usually get in these races. But the lights are on, the engines are revving, and we are going to go racing here at Spa-Francorchamps. We are off, and it is Team Redline who lead the way down in towards turn 1. But we have a Fordzilla car going right around the outside of the first corner. If he can get the exit, maybe, just maybe, he can move himself up into P3, but he hasn't quite done it, didn't quite get the traction off of the corner. There it is, Kevin Siggy, who leads the way over his teammates, Enzo Benito and Jeffrey Wrightville. We got Chian in 4th position, hunting down those Team Redline cars. They go side by side in towards Lecombe, but as you can see, Wrightville back it up, but that's going to allow Chian to have a little look around the outside into the Lecombe section of the track. Can he pull it off? He loses the back end ever so slightly, round the outside again on the throttle, the back end all over that place in that Team Fordzilla car. Wrightville holds the position for the time being, but Team Fordzilla are coming for them.
Yeah, what a great start to the race. Hey, Cheyenne looking super, super aggressive and punchy into the first sector already. What a shame that he didn't manage to pull that one off. But yeah, it looked like it was going to be potentially the best move of the series up until then. But yeah, Rydell held station. Pretty strong driving from him. Benito P2 and Kevin Siggy already out front by quite a way. 1.1 is the gap, and yeah, Team Fordzilla have got a lot of work to do. Emre Ceyhan is definitely leading this team, but looking like he's got a bit more pace on Jeffrey Wrightville.
Yeah, Chian is now right on the back of that Team Redline car, a little lock up as they head down into the bus stop section. Now, for Wrightville, he's probably got the most important role of the team now. So it looks like there's a little switch there at the Team Fordzilla between Arnold and Chian. So Arnold looking like maybe the quicker driver out. Oh, no, they've come together. Never mind. Fordzilla were looking so good. And then all of a sudden, they've come together out of turn 1. Peeve is now leading the way for the Team Fordzilla guys. What I was saying is that Wrightville had a really important role because he has to defend against those Team Fordzilla cars, protect his teammates. But now with that gap at about 1.5 seconds, it's looking like they can relax for now.
Yeah, it's really interesting play from Team Fordzilla. It looks like they're almost holding each other up and not necessarily working as a team. Shehan now is actually up into P4. He did drop back. I don't know whether he tried to let Sean Arnold go, but unfortunately ended up having some contact. And obviously with this team race, obviously the actual name of the race is a team race, so that means working together as a team. And unfortunately, Team Fordzilla not really working together as a team on this lap. Yeah, it's pretty simple stuff for Team Redline, who are pretty well versed when it comes to the V10 R League, and they've got a lot of pace.
Indeed, yeah, a bit of a strange tactic there from Fordzilla, not working together. You'd think as a name, Team Fordzilla, that they would remember that they have to work together, but they seem to have forgotten it here in this race. Lap 2 out of 6, starting lap 3. And it does look like Chian is able to pull that gap down ever so slightly on Jeffrey Wrightville. So this race may not be over yet, but it is looking impossible for Fordzilla to take victory. Remember, the way the point system works out, Kevin Siggy leading the way at the moment for Team Redline means that the worst possible scenario that they can have is a draw. If Team Fordzilla can knock out second, third, and fourth, then it is going to end up in a draw between the two teams. But it's all up to Fordzilla to overtake the other drivers. The gap now coming down to 1.1 seconds, so Chian might have a bit of a battle with Wrightville at the end of the race. They make their way through the Lecom section, then downhill in towards Rivage. But Kevin Siggy still leading the way, still looking really comfortable, and Enzo Benito backing up his teammate.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't really much to pick apart when it comes to Team Redline. They're looking super strong, no mistakes. It's almost like they know their roles. They know their roles as a team. Kevin Siggy looks the strongest driver in terms of raw pace and race pace, but Benito is definitely very, very close to him in terms of quality. And Wrightville is definitely a great driver to support them. So that means that as all three of them working together, they're a real strong team so far. And yeah, Kevin Siggy doing what he does best, which is leading the front of the field. Gap is now 1.5 seconds, no mistakes, no lockups, no issues, great on traction. And yeah, just counting down the laps. Unfortunately for Team Fordzilla, they need to start picking up the pace a little bit more, as Shehan actually does a very good lap as a 42.9, and he's only 7/10 now behind Jeffrey Wrightville.
A brilliant lap there for the Team Fordzilla driver. This is going to be great for them. He can pick up the slipstream all the way down in towards the Lecom section and see whether he can maybe gain a little bit more. So this battle is not over yet, the battle for the podium between these two drivers. But it seems like Team Redline are able to work together and know what role each driver has. There was a little moment when Wrightville had a little look on Benito, but he dropped back, he broke a little bit early to just tuck in behind his teammate. Nearly did allow Chian the overtake there between the two of them, but with his Team Fordzilla, they came together early on. There was maybe a bit of miscommunication as they head down in towards turn 1, a little bit of contact between the two of them, and that has unfortunately left them where they are. It was looking very close in the opening stages of this race, but as we stand, there is a close battle though, because Chian is catching up half a second between the two drivers at the moment. So now it's all up to Jeffrey Wrightville to really help his teammates and back these Fordzilla cars up.
Yeah, Shehan looking really strong. He's closing down that gap. It's now only 6.5 tenths, and he's going to be hopefully on that push to pass button, trying to gain as much speed as he can in terms of getting into that slipstream as we head left, super fast left-hander here at Blanchimont, and into the bus stop chicane for one more time. You see we close up under the brakes, but then you'll see Wrightville gain a little bit more on exit, but another great lap there from Shehan, actually 4 tenths difference. So heading into the La Source hairpin and the exit here. This now could be the best opportunity for Shehan as we head into Eau Rouge. Nice and smooth from both drivers. Wow, a little bit of a cut there from Shehan, but we are not close enough as we head into the Les Combes chicane. It's going to brake just before that curb on the outside. We go right, left, and then we're going to sling it and send it right again. But he's getting super, super close, but he's running out of time as we're on lap 5 out of 6.
Yeah, a lap and a half left to go. Cutting the top of Eau Rouge and Radillon. Not as much, though, as Leveche did last week. There was basically not a corner there for him as he flew through there last week. But Qian now 0.3 of a second behind that Team Redline car. Potential for an overtake. What happens in this situation? You know, you're gaining on the guy in front. What happens? You know, is there a chance of you getting ahead of yourself and maybe, you know, making a mistake because you get a bit too excited that an overtake's coming, or are you just, you know, in that zone?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're chasing someone down, you know and can see that you're getting closer, but chasing someone down and overtaking them are two completely different things. So once he gets, you know, within a certain range, it's then being able to use his pace to overtake. And as you can see, we're getting closer here. But will he be able to use his pace in terms of braking late enough to overtake Jeffrey Reinfeldt? We're going to see as we head into La Source hairpin for one more time. This is now the final lap. This is Shehan running out of time, but Jeffrey Reinfeldt, it's a lot harder to defend than it is to follow, that's for sure. And Reinfeldt's doing a really good job.
He really is. It's going to be up to Qian to work out where Reinfeldt is slow, because there are times when he's catching up. There's also times where he's losing to the car ahead. So he needs to work out where he is quicker than that Team Redline car and see if he can maybe force a mistake into his opponent's driving. Fill his mirrors as much as you possibly can. So we go in towards Rivage for the final time, heading downhill now in towards Jeff Corner, as then we go in towards Pouhon after that. Kevin Siggy still leading the way, 2 seconds over his teammate Enzo Benito, who is a further 1.5 seconds ahead of Jeffrey Reinfeldt. And we're watching this battle right now, the battle for third, Reinfeldt versus Qian. P 2 seconds back in P5, and Arnold, that contact earlier with his teammate has left him right at the back of the field. But one sector left to go in this race, one opportunity left for Qian to maybe take back that position. It's not going to be a point for the team, but it can potentially get them in the right mindset going into the next round, which is Silverstone. Well, we will finally get to Silverstone, Tom Deacon, don't you worry. But Kevin Siggy now coming through the final couple of corners. Team Redline are going to make it back-to-back points here. It's 2-0 in the head-to-head against Team Fordzilla. Enzo Benito is going to cross the line in second, with Reinfeldt backing up the team in P3. A disappointing day for Team Fordzilla. It looked like it was close in the early stages, but team contact once again has ruined their chances.
He made his debut last week, and now he's firing out the zingers. Hayden Gullis there, calling me out on the Silverstone debacle, and that's how I will always remember round 3. But how round 3 will be remembered for Team Redline, they had a P1, P2, P3, and that's exactly how they finished when they crossed the line. Dominant performance, 10 points, plus the 6 points, plus the 4 points, gives them 20 points. That is another point overall for Team Redline. When we get that confirmed in just a second, they had the opportunity, Team Fordzilla, to make an attack on that 1, 2, 3, Nick, but just not enough, and weren't working together as a team at times.
Yeah, I think Fordzilla needs to start learning to work together as a team, understand their roles as drivers, and who's going to carry the team, who's going to then be the supportive driver. But yeah, I mean, with every race that goes past, they're going to learn more and have more opportunities to improve. But yeah, they're not going to be necessarily that happy with their performance so far. But we'll see when we go to Silverstone.
Yeah, but I have to ask Hayden, I mean, Reinfeldt, he was like a wonder wall you just couldn't get past him, and he did the brilliant job of being in that third position, of defending against the opposition. He was just remarkable today.
He really did, and he really was. There was one little slip at the start of the race which actually allowed Chien to maybe have a look around the outside into Lecombe. That was a great will-to-will action that we saw, and unfortunately, just a little slip of the rear end. Like I said earlier on, with there's so much power at the back of these cars, you've got to be so under control when going for those overtakes and being maybe on a different line to what you would usually be on. But that was the little slip that he had, but other than that, rock solid.
Okay, well, listen, before we say thank you for the good times to Spa, let's have a recap of that early crash in the relay race. And it was very, very pivotal in that moment. Sean Arnold being chased down by Kevin Ziggy, and it was tense. I was getting so excited. Team Fordzilla, this is the chance to make your mark. But what did you see from this moment?
It looks so close between the two of them. As Kevin Ziggy all over the back of Arnold, and it just looks like he's just turned over slightly to the left. Could it be netcode? Unfortunately, we need an on-board there of Kevin Ziggy to really determine what has happened. But the potential things that could have happened, it could have been netcode, it could have been Kevin Ziggy, turning out too late and just clipping the rear end of Arnold. It's unfortunate to happen. Obviously, the stewards are going to be investigating it.
Okay, well, let's take a breather. A fantastic, and some would say champagne supernova performance from Team Redline. They take that 2-point lead as we now travel to Silverstone after the break. Welcome back to the V10 R League. We are all around the world today. This is round 3, and I am so excited to bring you the action of this great matchup between Team Redline and Team Fordzilla. Little by little, we watch them dominate, and that is Team Redline here at Spa. Do you know what I mean? There were just overtakes left, right, and centre, and they dominated. Don't go away, because we will be heading next up to Silverstone, and as you can see, that is the results there. 20 points for Team Redline, 6 points for Fordzilla. What does that mean if you're new to V10 R League? Well, that means they get the 1 point. That makes it 2-0 at the halfway stage. It's been brilliant so far, gentlemen. I'm joined by Nick Hamilton and Hayden Gullis to my left. What did Team Fordzilla need to do? What did Team Redline need to do to make sure that they get that dominant display? I choose Nick for this. What did Team Fordzilla need to do?
Well, firstly, they're going to head to Silverstone. It's going to give them a new wave of opportunities, isn't it? In terms of picking themselves up, understanding where they went wrong at Spa. Obviously, it's not a track that they have chosen. It's a track that Redline have chosen, so that means they're going to be on the back foot a little bit. But all they can do is continue to push, and you know, giving up is definitely something they can't do. They've got to work together as a team, really become strong together as a team with every race, an opportunity that they get. Hopefully they can just learn more and get stronger.
Will they live forever in this competition? Time will tell on that. But for Team Redline, they had that 3-1 win against Red Bull. They had a 3-0 win against Aston Martin. This could be another clean sweep.
Yep.
They just have to stay consistent and just put this to bed. You know, just make sure they win the next 2 races.
Very, very important for them, especially as Mercedes are not taking part this week. So this is a chance for them to take the top of the group table. Currently only 1 point behind Mercedes as it stands. So there's a great chance for them, and they're going to need to really just nail down, get to the end of it, and try and secure those points.
And obviously someone like Mercedes, you want the bragging rights of making sure you get a maximum of 4 points, because they dropped 2 points so far. They've only got 6. So this one, hey, dominate, and then at the end of the day, you'll be 10 points. Right, we head then to Silverstone, not Spa. I can't confirm that enough. Hayden, what do you love about Silverstone racing round?
It's just a fast-flowing circuit. There's some great opportunities for overtaking, and hopefully we're going to see it now. The lights are on, the engines are revving, and we are going to go racing in Silverstone. And it is Enzo Benito leading the way, or is he? No, the Team Fordzilla car is just ahead around the outside, and it holds it through turn 1 and turn 2 into the braking zone of turn 3, and they are still leading the way. Is Chian looking like the leader for that Team Fordzilla. So great job on the opening lap so far, but now he needs to hold it, and he needs to hold position. It'll be interesting to see whether they go for the Joker lap once again with Chian. Like you said earlier, they did not choose Silverstone, but we've seen so many times in this series that the track that they necessarily didn't choose, that's the one that they turn out to be stronger at. So let's see if Team Fordzilla can claim a point back against Team Redline, or can Team Redline make it a clean sweep? Enzo Benito having a little look there up the inside of Cop's corner. I'm not too sure if there was contact or whether he just spooked Chian into a mistake on the corner there, but it's all crumbled away. It's all fallen apart.
Yeah, again, unfortunate for Team Fordzilla there. We're not quite sure whether it was contact or not. I didn't think we had the best of camera angles to actually see what happened there, but Emre Shehan had done such a great job. What an amazing first lap he'd had as Enzo Benito into the pits for the first time for Team Redline. That means Shehan is actually going to do the Joker lap. So I think 2 seconds was the gap, so it's a lot of work for Shehan to do on this Joker lap. So as we see the replay, it's actually a mistake. It's a mistake from Emre Shehan. So what a shame from him, having worked so hard to keep P1, as he's got such a great start initially, and then but yeah, this is what happens. You do a good start, and if you don't continue and you make a slight mistake, you can throw it away. And unfortunate for Emre Shehan and Team Fordzilla, they got it all to do.
Worked out really well, though, for Team Redline. And I think it was just because Benito just had that little look up the inside, and maybe Chian thought he was going to send it in towards Cop's corner, maybe try to back off and give a little bit of room so they would avoid that contact. And unfortunately, that resulted in the spin. But like you said, there's only 2 seconds gap between the two of them. It was a great recovery, and there is still potential to claim back those points as Kevin Siggy is jumping in the car. We saw him last time around do the Joker lap, and here comes Kevin Siggy out of the pit lane. Now, slightly different to Spa-Francorchamps. The 70 seconds is, of course, as soon as you go into the pit lane. So as soon as you cross that line, that's when the 70 seconds starts. But Silverstone is a very long pit lane, and you're driving so slowly, so there is a lot of time. It's a lot more rushed compared to the pit stop in Spa-Francorchamps. So Chian now coming into the pits, and we're going to need qualifying laps from Kevin Siggy. And is that what is going to happen in the car right now for Siggy? He's just going to get his head down and pretend it's qualifying.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Kevin Siggy does not hang about, and every opportunity he gets on the circuit is going to be an opportunity to prepare himself for the team race, which will be coming up after this race. So he knows that he's got a bit of a gap. Yep, you don't want to get too complacent and make any mistakes, but you also want to use this opportunity to learn more and more about the car setup, where you've got the car currently ready for the team race. And yeah, so far he's been definitely leading the team for Team Redline, and yeah, he'll be wanting to make sure that he gets his car as perfect as possible in terms of setup, ready for the team race later today.
Yep, Arnold jumping in the car for Team Fordzilla. So we're going to have Arnold versus Siggy once again. Please, let's not have contact this time around as they come through the final corner now. Siggy, will he come out ahead of Arnold through turn 1? Arnold exiting the pit lane. It's actually going to be quite close, or is it not? As there's Kevin Siggy shooting off into the distance. And now there's a lot of groundwork to be made up for Team Fordzilla. Arnold, though, did look quick in the last time around in Spa. So we'll have to see whether he can replicate that in Silverstone. But 3.4 seconds the gap to Kevin Siggy. That is an absolute whopper. And we're going to have to wait and see whether Team Fordzilla can bring that back.
Yeah, this is the thing with Team Redline. They're so well versed, so well rehearsed. They don't seem to make any mistakes. They, as I said previously when we were watching Spa, they know their roles. And as long as they can continue just using the same amount of pace lap after lap, they can definitely be one of the strongest teams in this series in the V10 League. And Sean Arnold actually catching Kevin Siggy here on this lap, gained a couple of tenths. The gap is now down to 3.1 seconds. So it's not a formality. It's not going to be super easy for Redline to take this one away from Fordzilla, but it's now into the pits for Kevin Siggy after a pretty decent stint from him. Sean Arnold, I would say a very good lap from him as well. And it's going to be now Jeffrey Rydveld in the seat for Redline. And also we have got Peo Peeve in the car for Fordzilla. So it's all for Peo Peeve to do, but it's also all on the line for Jeffrey Rydveld with a lot of pressure on his shoulders.
Yeah, all about teamwork this stage of the race, because one driver's going to jump out, and then as soon as he has left the server, he needs to be on the comms to tell his teammate it's time for you to jump in the car. Any slight delay between that and they're going to lose time. So potentially it's not over. Team Redline could have a slip up. We could have connection issues for them. Someone could have slow internet and struggles to get into the server as quickly as the other team. Remember, they have to stick to that 70-second pit lane limiter, so they can't leave the pits any earlier. But there goes Team Redline stopping at the end of the pit lane. So maybe did they just judge that a little bit too soon? As we're going to have Peo Peeve, he's going to be right on the back, but when they're getting going, the engine's revving, and there goes Rydveld, and there goes Arnold. Is the gap going to remain similar between the two drivers? We'll have to wait and see. It looks like a big one. 2.9, so they gained 0.2 of a second there in the pit stop. It's not a lot. Maybe they will take that back in the briefing and just be like, okay, there is potentially a chance for us. If we can just get everything right, make sure there's no mistakes at all in the team race, if we get a good qualifying, then maybe they have the chance to take that point, because as it stands, they are still right at the bottom of the group table with 0 points, and they don't want to be there. You know, if you get a couple of points on the board, you can push up into that P3 slot, and you're looking like there's a chance for you to go to Abu Dhabi. So we'll have to wait and see whether that can happen over the rest of the series. But as it looks right now, Team Redline have the upper hand. And with Mercedes not taking part this week, there is a chance for Team Redline to top the group as well, which will be great for them. And that's certainly where they want to go into next week's proceedings. But Rightfield leading the way, 2.3 seconds, 2.1 seconds. So actually, Peo Peeve catching up a lot of time. Maybe Rightfield's just backing off. He's just relaxing, making sure he brings the car home. No mistakes at the end of this race. 2 seconds. It's actually going to be quite close as he really just backs off to make sure he brings the car home through the last couple of corners of Club and Vale. And it is going to be Rightfield who leads the way round the final corner and makes it 3-0 to Team Redline. Again, Fordzilla looked close, but the mistake from Chian in the early stages of the race pretty much handed the point to Enzo Benito and Team Redline.
Team Redline looking very happy and content with their performance so far. Still one race to go. That is the team race that will be happening on the same circuit of Silverstone. Enzo Benito looks most happy after this start, putting behind Emre Cian. But was Cian? We thought maybe there was contact, but it wasn't. He was a little spooked. The pressure got to him, made a mistake, and Enzo Benito was able to get past. And the smile that then followed on his face was unbelievable. I can't believe it. There's been a mistake. We never see mistakes. Here it is now, just skidding off there. It wasn't what Team Fordzilla wanted. They have the potential to take it to Team Redline. They haven't quite managed to do it yet. The mistakes have crept in. Is that all down to the pressure, do you think, Nick? When you're in that opportunity to send it home and you're not able to?
I mean, part of it is definitely got to be pressure because it's definitely a high pressure situation to be in, especially when you're leading the race and you know that the guy behind is pretty quick. But I think they just struggle with the finer details. I don't think they struggle completely on pace. It's just the teamwork scenario situation, potentially, you know, the pit lane speed limiter, for example, because a lot of time can be gained and lost in the pit lane. I think they just, they got to keep at it. I mean, it's a shame for Team Fordzilla. I want to see them at least get a point on the board. And if they could get a point away or take a point away from Team Redline, you know, that would be good for them because Team Redline is such a strong team. Yeah,
well, I tell you what, Nick, I mean, you said that Team Redline are well-versed and rehearsed. We will find out whether they can do exactly the same. It's the V10 R League. Come feel the noise after the break. You are in the right place if you've come to watch the V10 R-League. Myself, Tom Deacon, Nick Hamilton and Hayden Gullis have been guiding you through the first 3 races. We have one still to come. That is the team race, and it's taking place on the Silverstone track. But just to bring you up to speed with where we are at so far, it is 3-0 to Team Redline, and they were just your winners in the relay race at Silverstone. Close. Could it have been closer? Yes, it could have been if there weren't the mistakes from some of the Team Fordzilla drivers. But the last one is the team race. This is where it's 3v3, and I would say it definitely helps where you qualify. And the last time out, gentlemen, it was a 1-2-3 for Team Redline. Will that be the case again? We will find out in just a moment. But if it isn't, and it's a 1-2-3 again, what can Team Fordzilla do?
They've just got to send it at the end of the day. If they back off and just take it easy, they've lost. So they've just got to go for it. They've just got to go for it at every opportunity to try and get the overtake. Of course, there might be a bit of contact, but you know what's going to happen. You're going to get 0 points anyway, so just go for it.
Okay.
So you're just saying take him out?
Maybe.
Wow.
No.
No. I'm hearing him here. That's definitely not allowed in any way, shape or form. But Nick, let's look at the qualifier and where they line up on the grid to start. And yes, there is an opportunity. I was too excited. I was too excited there. A P3 for Sian in there, an opportunity to overtake. You need to finish first. The way the point system works, you need to finish first, and one of your teammates has to finish in 4th place if you finish in first, to make sure that you have enough points to win. Otherwise, it's just going to be a draw, and that is not good enough for Team Fordzilla. As we go trackside, who's going to take this then, Hayden?
Oh, come on, Team Fordzilla. Let's get a point back on the tally. The lights are on, the engines rev, and we go racing here in Silverstone, and it is Team Redline who lead the way 1 and 2, but can Chian get in there? Round the outside, through turn 1, is wheel to wheel there with one of the Redline drivers. He looks like he's ahead, and he is, and another Redline driver, Sean Arnold, Fordzilla driver, Sean Arnold going right round the outside through turn 3. He's got the inside line, slight lock up there from the Team Redline driver. Enzo Benito looks to be leading the way, but Sean Arnold very, very close between the two of them. It looks like Redline have just about got ahead in towards Brooklands, but right around the outside goes Sean Arnold, not able to do that. Now it's up to the Team Fordzilla guys to try and jump these two who are struggling at the back to maybe get a draw if the Fordzilla driver is unable to jump the leader, who is, I think it might actually be Kevin Siggy. The timing screens are currently having a little play today, so we will get those fixed as soon as we possibly can for them. But for now, it is Redline, followed by Team Fordzilla, followed by another 2 Redline cars, and another 2 Team Fordzilla cars.
Yeah, it's not a bad start from Team Fordzilla there. Unfortunately, we had Sean Arnold and Pierre Peeve getting shuffled back slightly there as we ride on board with Sean Arnold heading into the right-hander at Stowe. And yeah, I would say Fordzilla looking like the probably stronger, a lot stronger than they looked at Spa, especially on the first lap, with Emre Shehan right up there in P2, doing a great job for the team. Only half a second behind Siggy, so it's all actually up to Siggy to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes. And slipstream is going to be super, super important as we head through the left-hander on to the Wellington Straight for the second time. And yeah, it's not too bad, is it, for Team Fordzilla? They just need a little bit more. Can Sean Arnold start to rein in Jeffrey Rydveld, get a few more points on the board for the team? And then it's all up to Cheyenne to try and minimise that 0.5 of a second gap to Kevin Siggy.
That's the great way this series works. That Xi'an, he's got it all to do. He's got to try and overtake Kevin Siggy. But if he does do that and wins the race, as it stands right now, it will only end up as a draw because Arnold and Peeve are down in 5th and 6th. But Arnold right on the back of Wrightville as they go through Magnuson Beckett, out through Chapel, and then onto the Hangar Straight as they head down in towards Stowe. Is Arnold able to send it on right field and take that P4 that they so desperately need if Qian is able to overtake the red line driver of Kevin Siggy. We've also got Enzo Benito maybe looking to try and take that second place away from the Fordzilla driver. Only 7/10 of a second behind the Fordzilla driver as it stands. Kevin Siggy and Qian and also Enzo Benito setting pretty much identical lap times at the moment. So nothing to split those three drivers as we're on to lap 3 of this 6-lap team race. And can Fordzilla get back into it? Arnold right on the back of right field as they go through the loop and then onto the Wellington straight, heading down in towards Brooklands. And it just looks like the Team Fordzilla cars just don't have enough straight line speed to be able to benefit from the slipstream and mount an overtake.
Yep, this race between Rydveld and Arnold is just as important as the race for P2 and P1 with Siggy and Cheyenne, because Arnold needs to get some sort of speed and pace to overtake Rydveld if Cheyenne can get in front of Siggy. It's only 4.5 tenths gap with Siggy and Cheyenne, so it's looking pretty good. But Siggy, it's not his first rodeo. He's been here for a long time now and can deal with a lot of pressure. But Sean Arnold, doing a good job, showing that he can support the pace that Cheyenne is showcasing out front, or in P2. I mean, out front of his team. Yeah, so far so good. Actually, Cheyenne is a 10th quicker on that lap than Siggy with a 28.0. The two out front looking super strong, and Benito only 9 tenths away from Cheyenne and Siggy in P1 and 2. And this is the closest I've seen Cheyenne in a long time, but it doesn't seem like he can gain anything on the way into Brooklands there. Sean Arnold still trying his best to catch Rydveld, but it's just looking like everybody's in the same sort of train, doing the same sort of pace. But let's not take away from the fact that all of these drivers are doing a fantastic job with a lot of pace and a lot of consistency.
They really are. Let's see if then anyone can break the train with 2 full laps left to go. Kevin Siggy, of course, a previous champion of the V10 R League with BMW, this year moving over to Team Redline. So he knows how to soak up this pressure. He knows what he needs to do to win and lead races, looking like the team captain for the Red Line team. So leading the way as it stands, 0.6 of a second between him and Qian at the moment. But Qian bringing that down ever so slightly as they go through Club and Vale. It's very close between these two drivers. They're sort of matching, yo-yoing between each other in terms of best lap times. Enzo Benito actually going with a 27.8. So now he's hounding onto the back of Qian as well. So close between these three drivers. Arnold is still on the back of Rightfield, but not really able to break him at the moment, but 0.4 of a second as they go through the loop. And then unfortunately, again, just on acceleration, that is where Team Redline just looks stronger at the moment, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I mean, Team Redline, they've always got a lot of pace in the pocket, in hand as well. So Siggy, he's been so fast on so many different simulators over the years. He knows what he's doing, and he may not be even pushing to the 100% maximum. You never know what Kevin Siggy's doing up front. He's used to it so much. As we riding on board with Emre Cheyenne, as we go through Maggots and Beckett's now onto the Hangar Straight. And yep, it's only 0.5 is the gap, but it's been like that all the way through this race so far. Cheyenne doing a really good job, I would say, showing that he's just as fast as Kevin Siggy, who is arguably one of the fastest drivers in the V10 R League. And Enzo Benito is breathing down his neck. So as much as Cheyenne can attack ahead, he can also withstand some pressure and some heat from Enzo Benito as we cross the line. And Kevin Siggy is actually extending that gap now to 0.7.
Indeed, 0.7 of a second is the gap between the two drivers as it stands. Enzo Benito dropping away from this top two battle as well. 1 second behind these two, as then you've got Wright-Field, another 2 seconds back from Enzo Benito, but Arnold still close to the back, and so is Peo Pieve as well. Unfortunately for those two, they've just never really had a chance to get themselves further up through the field, and it's all dependent on two drivers overtaking, not just the one. If Chian overtakes Siggy, it's going to be a draw, or if Arnold overtakes Wright-Field, then it's still going to be a Redline win. So both drivers need to try and overtake, but unfortunately we are running out of time. We're on the final lap at the moment, and the gap's still staying at around 0.6 of a second between the four drivers that are battling at the moment. Kevin Siggy then leads them through Maggotts and Beckett's for the final time in this race. Can Chian do anything in the final couple of corners, or will Arnold be able to get them into P4? A little bit of hope, but, you know, a good result for the team despite not taking home any points. There's a lot to take from this race, but it is going to be Kevin Siggy who leads them round the final corner now. Team Redline take victory. They make it a clean sweep. 4-0 win, and Chian comes home in second, unable to break Kevin Siggy. Benito is in third, Wright-Field fourth, with Arnold fifth, and Pieve bringing up the rear in P6. But it is Team Redline who make it 4-0.
Excellent work from Hayden Gullis and Nick Hamilton, taking you round not only Silverstone, which we just watched there, but also Spa-Francorchamps earlier on. And as Hayden said, a 4-0 clean sweep just goes to show Team Redline are very dominant. One team to watch in this V10 R League heading to Abu Dhabi. I mean, surely, unless something catastrophic was to happen right now, you would have to say Team Redline have booked their place into Abu Dhabi to head there for the final. £100,000 prize pool is on the line. And even though Emre Cihan managed to get up into second in this, it was down to Sean Arnold and Peo Pieve to do what they need to do as a team and overtake Wright-Field. But we saw it at Spa as well in the team race. He is just such a good defender and sticking with the team tactics, making sure, hey, we've got Kevin Siggy. All I need to do, he's going to win the race. All I need to do is sit back and defend. I mean, great to watch, but for a neutral, not ideal at the same time, Hayden, because you're looking at a dominant team, and we wanted the underdog there, Team Fordzilla, to at least get 1 point, but just not up to it today. Yeah,
unfortunately not. And Team Redline, they're looking like one of the top teams this series, along with Mercedes and along with Yas Heat. So there's going to be a lot of positives that Team Fordzilla need to take out of it. That they did take the fight to them throughout all of the different races. You know, there was moments where that they can put the blame on this crash here or this thing that went wrong, a little bit of team communication. But once they iron those out, there is a chance for them to get points and maybe look at that P3 spot.
That's why I love Hayden. He's very positive, Nick.
He's tall as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with him. But let's trash talk Emre Cihan now. We're not going to do that at all. There were moments where he's definitely the fastest, the quickest, the most astute for his team. We're watching the moment here where he's just getting that moment where just a little bit of a lock up there. It just didn't go right for him at times when, if it was to go right for him, he could have really led that team.
Yeah, I mean, he was leading the team anyway. He's been shown that he's got a lot of pace. Also good racecraft, trying to get his elbows out. Great starts as well here up against Enzo Benito. And unfortunately, he made that mistake later on in the lap through Kopp's corner. But no, definitely a positive to take away from this matchup for Emre Cihan. It's just a shame that the team are sort of falling at the final hurdle.
Yeah, what do you think actually happened there? Because Enzo Benito, as Hayden was saying, was going to come up the inside, and it just seems to swerve off. It's like he hit ice. He just sped off just a little bit. What would have gone through his mind there?
I mean, Enzo Benito, he pulled out at the last minute, and it could have sort of flustered Cihan a little bit. It could have been looking in his mirrors a bit, and it just put him off and lost his focus.
And in terms of mistakes like that or happenings that happen, Team Fordzilla have to take what's just happened there and a clean sweep. That's 2 losses on the bounce. They've not picked up 1 point yet. How can they go away and rebuild? If you were the team manager, Nick, what would you say to them? How do you get a point on the board?
Well, firstly, you want to keep the morale high of the team, you know, because it's easy to knock people when they're down already. So the first thing is to keep the morale high, not give up, and really pick apart where they went wrong. Obviously, they have got really good pace in Sean Arnold and Emre Şeyhan. I think working as a team in those team races is vital, and little mistakes in the relay races, you know, that completely changes the game. And that little mistake that Şeyhan made, you know, that could potentially cost them a point.
Right, I love that positivity as well. Hayden, all right, what does Team Redline have in terms of Kevin Siggy? Can anyone outpace him?
Well, other than a moustache, of course, they've got a fantastic driver and also a winner, because he was a champion with BMW last time out, last season. So that's what they have. That's what they brought to the table. And I think they've got a great dynamic that maybe he's stepping into that leader role that we like to talk about a lot and dictates what happens around the rest of the team, because it seems to be very much, it goes Siggy, Benito, Reitfeld, and they hold that. And that is great to know that where you position in that role is always great, because Reitfeld's the one who's defending, Siggy's the one who's driving away, and it seems to work every single time.
I'm not sure why the lineups changed for Team Redline. From round one, they had Michael Schmidt, who we know has got some pace, but maybe Reitfeld you need a defender in the team. And it seemed like on a lot of the corners, they were just going out wide, going, it's your turn to make sure we can't get the overtake. So that communication's poignant and very important for the teams.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw many times as well when they did go side by side that if you just force them into an area of the track that's maybe a little bit dirtier, maybe not the usual line they take, it unsettles the car, and that allows the Team Redline driver to regain that position. So maybe he knows that positioning. He knows that he can go wheel to wheel with someone, but he can get the mind games out and still come out on top.
Do they have any weaknesses, Nick, that you would identify? Next team that go up to take on Team Redline, I mean, they've beaten Red Bull, they've beaten Aston Martin, now Team Fordzilla. They haven't taken on Mercedes yet, but if you were Mercedes, would you see a weakness maybe to target?
I think it's just down to raw pace. I don't think Redline have been up against it yet with their backs to the wall almost. I think you put them under pressure. You know, they're only human. Will they crack? Potentially, you know, and it's now down to Mercedes at least to put that pressure on them. But after today, you know, they're going to be, you know, flying high in terms of the fact that they got a 4-0 victory over Team Fordzilla. It's going to help them in their group stages. But yeah, I mean, they can be beaten. I've seen it in the past. But is this a new Team Redline that are almost impossible to break?
Whoa, I like that. Teasing forward for their next race out. We're just waiting for hopefully an interview with Kevin Siggy, the star of that team, although he's backed up by two brilliant drivers as well, Enzo Benito and also Jeffrey Reitfeld. But, you know, you look at them, they can't be, there's not too many weaknesses. Complacency could be that thing that steps into their team. But as for Mercedes, when they take on that team, that's going to be a real clash. That's going to be a brilliant one to watch.
I think it's going to be the match of the season so far, because they've got two top teams in the same group. Yas Heat don't look like they have a team on their level in the same group at the moment. So it's looking very good between the two of them.
So we are watching some Kevin Siggy highlights. If you can't interview him, watch his highlights. I mean, what is his skill set, Nick, to be able to win in every team race? Is that sort of speaking to your teammates to go, look, just leave this to me? Or is it a tactic to let him just take the lead? I mean, how does it work? Or is he just dominant from being that fast and that good?
Well, he's obviously got great one-lap pace because he's been on pole for the last two team races that we saw today. But then he can convert that straight into race pace and consistency. So that's why you're seeing Kevin Siggy starting on pole and driving away. So at the moment, that is what you need as a driver. He's pretty much perfect as a driver, is what you need to lead the team.
There are the team race results for you, 17 to 9 points. So a better points haul for Team Fordzilla. Unfortunately, though, not enough to pick up that point. You mentioned there about Kevin Siggy's qualifying pace, and just to confirm, by the way, the 4-0 win there. Team Fordzilla would have loved to be looking at these graphics right now. Oh, please, show me more of the clean sweep. But Kevin Siggy had a P2 twice in Spa and Abu Dhabi against Aston Martin, and yet still won the race. And then then win Silverstone and Monza when they were taking on Red Bull. He had, again, that P1 twice in a row. He's incredibly good in terms of his pace. I believe Kevin Siggy is just to our side at the moment. We're still looking at the graphic, but I can watch him at the moment. Not much of a setup, no posters, no distractions. That's what I notice right there, Nick. No distractions. Let's hopefully talk to the man that we say with the beautiful moustache, Kevin Siggy. Another maximum points there for Team Redline, another win. How are you making it look so easy, Kevin?
I don't really know. I mean, it also depends on the team level, let's say. I mean, I'm not saying that they're any slower. I mean, Emre proved that he's quite good in Silverstone in the race, but we kind of came into it knowing that we have really good pace, and just getting to nail qualifying was the important part. And of course, we obviously did the job in practice to kind of make up for it. So, I mean, that was just the focus, but luckily we didn't really go up against like any one of the most insane teams, let's say, in this stage at the moment.
I like the way you phrase that, Kevin. None of the insane teams, they're all incredible, but the insane ones are coming up. Mercedes, you've got Yas Heat. Out of those teams, which one are you most looking forward to test your skills against?
I mean, there's only Mercedes at the moment in our group for now, so we are kind of looking forward to the race between us and them at the moment. But when it comes to semifinals, if we're lucky enough to go into the semifinals or even the wild cards, then I think Yas Heat or whatever the other teams are, I literally forgot. I don't know, but I mean, so far we're just only focused on Mercedes, and we're gonna try and do our best to beat the guys.
Well, we look forward to it. On the V10 R League, I'm allowed 2 questions and 2 questions only, Kevin. So that is your time done and dusted. Go and celebrate. Congratulations on your 3rd team win of the season. Take care, Kevin.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There you go. 2 questions. That's all I'm allowed. But summed it up. I like the way he called them insane teams. That is what Mercedes are and Yas Heat. The others are brilliant, but just not necessarily insane. We look at that table now. That's what it does for Team Redline. They'll be adding on 4 points to that. So look at that table right now and imagine them with 10 right at the top. And that makes it incredibly difficult for Aston Martin, who we're going to be seeing today, Hayden.
Yeah, Aston Martin take on Red Bull Racing later on today. But, I mean, Kevin Siggy put it well. It looks like it's very much between Mercedes and Team Redline in this Group B, and then it's between Red Bull, Aston Martin and Teams Fordzilla for that 3rd place spot. So we're going to have some spicy action later on today, because this match is going to be very important for that P3.
There's the klaxon. He's mentioned the word spicy. Nick Hamilton, Hayden goes, a brilliant way of summing everything up. That is our next match, Aston Martin versus Red Bull. This is round 3, done and dusted. Matchup 1, Team Redline are your winners. We'll see you back very shortly for this spicy contest.